Right. Good evening, families. My name is Heather Deer, and I am the Director of Family Engagement here at William and Mary. And I am excited for us to have another wonderful webinar in our webinar series. Tonight, we're going to be talking about all of the ways that your student can spend their time away from classes during our breaks that are coming up. We have a variety of different offices and programs represented here this evening to chat about the many ways and many opportunities available to our students. This conversation is being recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel in just a few days. If you have any questions throughout the session, I recommend using the Q&A feature here in Zoom. We both will be able to type some answers and provide some links for you in that Q&A, and we'll get to those as many as we have time for at the end of our session. So without further ado, we have three wonderful presenters this evening, and I want to give them as much time as possible. So we're going to start with Kathleen.
All right. Thank you, Heather, and good evening, everyone. I am so excited to be with you. Kathleen Powell. I serve as the Chief Career Officer and Associate Vice President for Advancement at William & Mary. I've been at William & Mary for 10 years, and it's a pleasure and an honor, and working with all your students brings me great joy. So I am going to fire up a PowerPoint if all goes well, and we'll see if I can get this rolling, and we're going to start from the beginning. Ta-da! Okay, so that is a good thing. So what I want you to think about, full disclosure, I am a parent of three college students who are adults now and doing wonderfully. So I've been in your shoes. I know what it's like, and when I think about how you connect with our office and with your student is thinking about that you are a partner, and being a partner with your student, being a partner with our office. And I think that's important in terms of setting the tone and thinking about the questions. So being in career services, you can imagine our own children. I was more pushing and saying that, it's like, have you been to the Career Center? Do you have your resume done? Have you been to on-campus interviewing? Have you met with an advisor? And it was like, mom, please just let me do my thing. So it just took me a little bit. And then I realized that I wasn't asking the right questions. So I've just given a couple prompts here for you all to think about. So Career Conversations is a newsletter that comes to every student every Sunday night. And it just has curated information about programs and services and who's on campus recruiting and what trips we're taking around career readiness and different things of that way. And so again, just asking questions. I see Jade is smiling, so I'm hoping Jade is actually reading Career Conversations as well. And then the other thing is like, I'm curious about the resources that William & Mary has to offer in the Career Center. What is it that they do? What's available? Can you show me the website? What do I need to know? And then, what happens in that Career Center? It's like, well, either they've been in or they haven't been in, but that's really not what is important. It's more about, do they know where we are and do they know what's available? So thinking about exploring options, especially over the break. I mean, this is a wonderful time to think about how they can use their time if they're not working or thinking about, just a part-time position. But what is it that they can be doing? So we have many, many online resources. And if your student hasn't declared or hasn't thought about what they want to major in, I've listed a couple resources here for them. And Candid Careers is one, and it's little short vignettes about particular careers. And then what can I do with this major? It's curated and it has links. And again, I'm going to be sharing the PowerPoint with Heather after this, so she can send it out to all of you. But again, just thinking about what is available. Informational interviewing during the break is a wonderful time. And, I would even ask your student to do an informational interview with you. My dad, I will say, he never was sure what I did, and I knew what he did. And so I was like, Dad, tell me more about your job. What is it that you do? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? and same with my mother and uncles and aunts, and just exploring. We have a couple things that we make it easy for students, and one is One Network. It's also open to parents, so hopefully you will join. Later on, I have a slide, and it's William & Mary. It's onenetwork.wm.edu. And then LinkedIn. We have a whole alumni group on LinkedIn, and we have 110,000 alumni. Not all of them are on One Network, but it actually gets them going. So if you think about One Network, that is the William & Mary Global Network. So on LinkedIn, if you've had this experience, you want to connect with someone and, you don't hear back from them. But in One Network, it is our own network in terms of our folks who are in there. They've raised their hand. They want to help. So if you're talking with your student and they have an interest in biology, by way of example, it's like you can go into One Network and you can actually find alumni who are biology majors, and then you can look at their careers. I think the other thing is sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves as parents. It's like, oh, we have to have all the answers. We have to know all the careers. There's more than 2.3 million job titles. I don't know them all. I don't expect parents to know them all. So thinking about like what is available and where do I find my resources? I put this slide in here because I think skills are something that students are gaining all the time, and they just don't really maybe think about it. And the good news is most of our employers who come to William & Mary and they're looking for good talent, they're looking for skills. So they may not be looking for a particular major. Being a liberal arts and sciences institution, that is a win, and it's very successful for our students. And so in terms of skills, we actually follow the National Association of Colleges and Employers, and they survey employers every year, thousands of them. And those employers are telling us, and not just business and for-profit organizations, but nonprofits as well. And they're telling us, like, these are the skills that we're looking for. So communication, critical thinking, professionalism, teamwork, technology, leadership, so on and so forth. And students are gaining these all the time. So again, keeping students aware of what's happening, and that all those competencies are available on our website. We have all kinds of things in our office that point to them, and we think that that's important. Something else that students can do during the break is we have a 4-week self-paced virtual course called Career Readiness Foundations. It's free, and it helps students jumpstart with their resumes, their cover letters, helping with their LinkedIn profile, interviewing tips and tricks. And it's just fun. They get feedback from our staff in terms of, what's going well, what they can be thinking about. And again, it's just another resource, and it's something to keep them engaged. The other things that I'll point to here in terms of break opportunities are micro internships. So we partner with Parker Dewey. There's free simulations on Forage, it's forage.com. And then at flexjobs.com, there's remote jobs. So if they want to earn a little money or you want them to earn some money, they've got some options there. And again, just some other resources. I know Jada's going to talk a little bit more about this, and I'm going to pass it on to her when I wrap up. But volunteering is a great way to gain skills, and it's a great way to think about ways in which you can serve others. And a couple resources here in terms of partners that we have within the Office of Career Development and Professional Engagement. Tribe Careers is maybe something you've heard your student talk about. And if not, I would ask them what Tribe Careers is and how they use it. But it's actually our database of all of our jobs, our newsletters. Students make appointments through Tribe Careers. They can search for internships. They can look at a variety of opportunities for community service, for graduate professional school fellowships, postgraduate service. So it is the place they need to go. And every student has an account. So if they say, oh, I don't have an account, you can tell them that they actually do, and you can point them to it. So something to think about. Also during the break, our office is open. So we do close for the holidays, but for the most part, when the students leave for break, our staff is still on board, and they can do virtual appointments. If you all are local and you would like to come in and have an appointment with one of the advisors, you can. We do have our quick advising hours, and Monday through Thursday from 2 to 4, again, available if you're in the area. And then I talked about the industry newsletters. I talked about Career Conversations, that's every Sunday. And then we have industry newsletters. So there's a business industry, creative careers, STEM, nonprofit, public service, education. So thinking about the ways in which students want to be informed, they can sign up for as many newsletters as they'd like. We do find sometimes, though, that students, especially our first year, our freshman students, they sign up for everything, and then they're like, "I get too many emails from your office," and it's like, "Well, let's look at your account and see what you've signed up for," and then we see that they've signed up for 8 industry newsletters. So that's probably not in their best interest, but they don't want to miss out. So it's a good idea, but we want to help them pare it down a little bit. We also have a photo booth for professional headshots, and we encourage students to take advantage of the photo booth. They can take that headshot and they can use it for LinkedIn. They can use it for One Network. Students can use it for passports. So lots of opportunities there. I know I've run through this pretty quickly, and I know we're going to leave some time at the end to chat. And again, I really thank you for your time. I'm glad that you joined us tonight. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to turn it over to Jada.
Thanks so much, Kathleen, for that nice introduction. Like Kathleen said, I'm Jada. Hi, I'm actually a student here at William and Mary. I'm a senior and I am a student worker in the Civic and Community Engagement office. And at I work with the program Branch Out Alternative Breaks as an executive board member. So gonna go ahead and see if I can get us up and going with my presentation. So a little bit about Branch Out. Um, Looking into our mission and our vision. Our mission is to engage students in diverse, quality alternative breaks so that they become active and educated members of society. And our vision is to create a community of active and educated individuals dedicated to the pursuit of social justice. This ties very well into our core values. I'm just going to list them off here. Social justice. Every single one of our breaks that we offer focuses on a particular social justice issue, whether that be racial justice or environmental justice or what have you. We are focused on in social justice and making sure that all of our students are educated about that as well. Center and community, one big part of the Civic and Community Center is community and centering that, making sure that not only we center community and the William and Mary community, but when we go on our breaks and our students go into a different community, making sure they center that community as well. Intentionality, making sure all of our breaks are intentional in everything that we do and that we are not going into the break blindly, but that we are educated in what we are doing and we are intentional in the service we are providing. Inclusion, we always want to make sure that everyone on our break feels included, not just the students, but also the community partners that we work with and that we serve with, and the communities that we go into. Collective leadership. On our breaks, we have 12 students going on the break, and 2 of those students are our site leaders, so they lead the breaks, but we love to emphasize collective leadership, making sure that all of our participants know that even though there are 2 main site leaders that help organize and prepare the break, all of our students always have a say in what goes on in the break and what happens during the break. Fun and lightheartedness. A lot of the times when we are doing social justice and service, it can feel very heavy and a very serious topic. So we love to emphasize fun and lightheartedness whenever we have our breaks. Mutually beneficial partnerships. Everything we do in civic and community engagement is mutually beneficial. We try so much to make sure that not only our community partners are getting the most out of our partnership, but that also our students are benefiting as well, making sure that that partnership is nice and beneficially mutual. And then sustainability, tying right into the social justice, making sure that everything that we do is sustainable, not only environmentally. We do on a lot of our trips compost and recycle all of the product that we use, and a lot of our trips do also eat vegetarian or vegan meals, considering the participants' dietary restrictions. But like I said, not just environmental sustainability, but also sustainability as a whole. We always make sure that whatever our students learn on the trip is sustainable when it comes back to William and Mary, and that they're able to sustain all the skills and all the education that they learned. All right, so what exactly is an alternative break? So it is an immersive service experience. We hold alternative breaks in every single break on the school calendar. So fall, winter, and spring, we have a few different break options for our students to go into a different community for a couple of days, do direct service, learn about a social justice issue, and connect with that community. So 12 students will engage with a community partner organization that is usually a nonprofit or an organization that does service for a community, learn about social justice while hosting the community and gain skills and perspective that they bring back to William and Mary and continue after that break is finished. What do the students do on the actual break? So they perform strong and direct service. On a lot of our breaks, most of what they'll be doing is service. That can look like a lot of different things. That can be sitting in an office room and doing filing work for an organization, or being out in the woods and planting trees or making a trail. It's always a lot of different things when we work with community partners. Students also learn how to serve as an advocate for social change. That comes through the education and orientation we provide all of our students before they go on breaks. They also gain community to draw from, learn, and grow with, not only within the William and Mary community. A lot of the times when students sign up for a break, they meet new students that they wouldn't have met before and become incredibly close with those students. But also when they go out into the community, they gain connections from that community as well. They also get to know other active citizens from the campus and beyond. Like I said, whenever they go out into the community, they build those connections and tend to keep those connections. And they also honor and celebrate the strength of community in all forms. Everything that we do in civic and community engagement all ties back to community, and we always love to emphasize to our students to strengthen that community in every way that they can in our breaks. So, what do our community partners get out of our partnership with them when our students go to these community partners and do service with them? So, our community partners get 12 committed students who have had prior education orientation and training to not only the service that they'll be doing, but the social justice issue and the community itself. They'll get a sustainable relationship with Branch Out and further connection to the William and Mary and Civic and Community Engagement Office that typically lasts years. And also eagerness to learn about the root causes and systemic nature of the social justice issue they tackle through their organization. Like I said, with mutually beneficial partnerships, it's not only something that our students get, but our community partners also do tend to learn a lot from the students that they work with. So a few examples of the breaks that we have offered this past fall break, which was from, I believe, October 12th through the 16th, something like that. We offered three different fall breaks that our students got to be a part of. One of them was we were partnering with Appalachian Improvement League, or RAIL, and that was in Mullins, Virginia. So a bunch of our students took a van, drove all the way up to West Virginia, and they learned a lot about rural community development and SUD prevention, or substance use disorder prevention. And they did a lot of service working with that community and the people that RAIL serves. Another one of our breaks, working with Pocahontas State Park in Chesterfield, Virginia. The students that went to that break helped build trails for that park and learned a lot about sustainability, conservation, and inclusive outdoors. And then the last fall break that we just offered was partnering with the Woodrow Wilson Rehabilitation Center, or WWRC, in Fisherville, Virginia. And the students that went on that break spent a lot of time cultivating skill development with people with disabilities and engaging with the people that WWRC serves. We actually just finished recruitment for our winter breaks, which will be happening in early or late January. And both of these breaks are full with 12 students. And what will happen on these breaks, one of the groups partnering with Friends on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., they're going to be doing some service work and learning about civic education and justice-based advocacy. And then another break that we are offering during winter break, partnering with Northern Neck Middlesex Free Health Clinic in Kilmarnock, Virginia. The students will be learning about accessible and affordable healthcare, helping out with that health clinic there. And as we are still planning our spring breaks, these are the ones that we plan on offering our students. Students will be able to sign up for these at the beginning of the spring semester. One of them, Lynchburg Grows in Lynchburg, Virginia. The students will be traveling to Lynchburg, Virginia to learn about sustainability, food, poverty, and disability. And then another partner that we are working with for the spring, Chesapeake Bay Foundation in Marlborough, Maryland. The students will travel to Maryland and learn about and do service relating to food access and regenerative agriculture. So those are all of the breaks that we are offering this year. And just to give a little recap describing what our past year looked like, we had a lot of engagement. We had over 84 we had 84 participants in all of our three breaks that we were offering. We worked with 20 community partners. We had 7 alternative breaks. And in all of that, we had over 2,000 hours of impact. So basically what that means is that the students put in how much they did on that break, and that summed up to over 2,000 hours that we were able to have an impact on not only the students, but our community partners as well. All right, that's everything that I have prepared for you today. Once again, I'm Jada. Thank you all so much for attending this webinar and learning more about Branch Out. I always love to see new students come and participate in our breaks. You can find all of our information here, our Instagram page, email, and website. You are welcome to reach out at any point, ask any questions. And with that, I'll go ahead, stop sharing my screen and turn it over to our next speaker. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jada. And I'm always so inspired by hearing all these amazing opportunities offered through other offices. So I'm Sylvia Mittendorfer. I'm the director of the Global Education Office. I'm also going to pull up a PowerPoint real quick if all goes well. And I'm here just to talk a little bit about some of the opportunities that the winter and summer breaks in particular offer in the kind of global realm. We partner really closely with the other 2 offices that you've heard about, and again, have just, really seek to help students find whatever it is that they want to pursue, whether that be study abroad or international internships or just other global connections. So with that, let's make sure that the PowerPoint works. I do just want to, before I get into kind of some of the nitty gritty, I do want to just flag that, much of the work, for example, thinking about career development and building community, and a lot of those things are certainly important themes for study abroad as well. We partner very closely with Kathleen and her wonderful colleagues on some of the NACE competencies, the employer competencies, to think about how study abroad also connects and continues to build skills, and how to, and the Career Center is a wonderful partner in helping students then think about how to translate those global experiences into things like resumes and career trajectories and interviews and others. So I do want to just give a shout out for that and really appreciate that. So one of the things with study abroad is we have many, many learning goals and objectives. It's actually pretty hard to talk about if you've seen me in different contexts, because when we think about study abroad comprehensively, there are hundreds and hundreds of program options. And really part of what we hope to do in our office is help your student find the program that best meets their interests. Winter and summer breaks in particular provide really great opportunities to have some focused international experiences. I will say for many students, it is the beginning of a study abroad journey. So we see a lot of students coming back, for example, after a summer study abroad program saying, oh, okay, now I'm ready to go for a semester. I want to go some other time. And so we encourage students throughout, including early in their academic trajectory, to consider these break programs as well. So when we think about what we see in this just last year, we have over 600 students, well beyond, who are participating in study abroad during either winter or summer breaks. There are over 30 countries. In truth, in a year, we often have over 55 countries where our students are going. And we have a number of different choices for students, back to the point of there are many, many different opportunities. And part of what we want to do is help your student find the one that meets their needs. There are two main categories of programs that your students might be looking at for study abroad during winter and summer breaks. One is the William and Mary faculty-led program, and others are other programs that we partner. I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth, but regardless of the types of programs, these are academic experiences. They're gaining credit for these experiences, and they're also getting Call 300 for all of these opportunities. And so for some of our students, this has been a great way to make really good progress in their major or minor or general education requirements through that. So what does that concretely look like? We have study abroad can happen during many different times, as I mentioned. Often it's the beginning. These short-term programs are beginnings of more study abroad engagement. We recently had a student who graduated having gone on 5 short-term programs, and I think all but one she got scholarships for, or maybe even all of them. Summer break is our biggest cohort of students going abroad, and that's possible really anytime after a freshman year. So if you have a first-year student, this coming summer is a very popular time for your students appears to go abroad. I'm going to use this chance to just flag the deadline for William and Mary faculty-led summer programs. It's December 2nd. So it is coming up. There are no recommendations needed. It's short essays. It's a very doable application, but the deadline is coming up this semester still. And then we also work with other programs. There's a little bit more time for that. We have until April to get some of those things sorted. For winter break, again, it can be any time beginning freshman year. The deadline for winter break programs is in September so this year's has already passed. The courses have started already. These programs, faculty-led programs, have pre-courses to prepare students ahead of time. And those courses have already begun for this winter, but it's never too early to start thinking about next winter break as well. And then there's a third category in terms of the William and Mary type that is are called a William and Mary embedded international courses. So these are William and Mary courses on campus with a very short, usually a week or 10 days international component. We work together with the DC Center and the Global Research Institute, for example, in a Global Scholars Program. It's a full year program. And then we send students as part of that. This year we have 2 cohorts, one going to Brussels, Paris over spring break, and one going to Beijing, China during the winter break. But every year there's usually a few of these courses, not many, but just something to keep an eye out. And certainly if your student comes to you and says, hey, I'm in one of these courses, you'll have a kind of sense of what that might mean. In terms of William and Mary faculty-led short-term programs, which is in the winter and summer breaks, the largest contingent of students. As the name implies, these are with William and Mary faculty and William and Mary students. These are curated experiences where we work with partners overseas. Most of these are long-standing partnerships or ones that we're building out to be, again, very collaborative. And these are William and Mary courses. They're all Call 300s, but there are some possibilities even of getting Call 200s. A few examples of what that might look like. We have a program in India that has a theme of globalization, but how that looks and what angle of globalization varies every year. So this coming summer, it's going to have an emphasis on art history, comparing Goa and Bangalore to very different cities with different histories, and also religious studies. Another very interesting program is the Dublin Global Business Minor Program. This is a program designed for non-business students, so not students who who are not majors or minors, but who are majoring and doing other work, but who recognize that the skills and the learning from business training is really relevant across so many fields. And they may not have time during the academic year to do that. And so this is a chance to, in 11 weeks, 3 on like virtual and 8 in person in Dublin, to do a deep dive into business. They're getting 15 credits for it in the summer. All they have to do is then take an accounting course before or after, and they're able to get their business minor and still have the time during the academic year to focus on their other academic pursuits. So a program that we're really excited about, and that students who've gone through have come through a broad range of majors and have found it tremendously helpful for them as they then graduate beyond William and Mary. Some programs are moving. Santiago de Compostela, for example, it means actually hiking the Camino de Santiago in northern Spain. Others focus on language or cultural studies. Berlin is an example for German studies, but we have programs for Spanish, French, Chinese, Russian, and others like Italian that aren't intensive language, but that provide opportunities for students to begin or deepen their language engagement. This is the list of summer 2025 programs. All of this is on our website. And I just want to point out that the academic opportunities span so many different fields of study, and that they do change every year. The sites are pretty steady for summer, but what students are studying may depend year from year. So for example, we have a program in Galway this year that is this summer that's going to have cybersecurity and computer science as a focus. We've had a couple years now with a pre-health kind of focus in South Africa. But then other programs, for example, in the Czech Republic this summer has a psychology option, but also history and English and government. So there are just different choices that students have and lots of different opportunities. Winter programs, I will say this is an area where we've seen tremendous interest, a growth in interest from students. And where we're, as an institution, we've been offering more and more programs. This year, we were able to advertise 10 programs. You can see a broad range of destinations in the world, but also different fields, whether that be studying marine science in South Korea, public health or health related, go to the WHO in Geneva, or human rights in La Plata, or other many different other choices. As you can see, we expect that these program choices are going to continue to grow in future years, and hope to have a preliminary list for winter 2026 coming up in May, and then more information available in the summer, again with a deadline of September 2025 for January 2026. A few of these programs start in the last couple days of December, for example, to get all the way to New Zealand. They do have to leave a little earlier in the last days of December, but most are beginning of January through a few days before the start of the spring semester. In terms of other programs, then, we also work with a number of third-party study abroad programs, well over 100 students every year going on these during the summer and winter break. And we also work with a lot of these during the semester. That could be an international university. Every summer, we have a large contingent of students in London, for example, at the London School of Economics, or in Seoul, South Korea, at Yonsei. And that's a chance to study alongside students from all over the world. And our students really love that experience. Others might look at, just like we offer William and Mary faculty-led summer programs, they may offer, they may look at other schools and see a program that's really interesting. And then we work with numerous other accredited study abroad organizations that have universities behind them that offer a variety of different programs, often with higher levels of like support or excursions or other things added. For example, we very regularly have students in Denmark and Sweden, because there's a program there called DIS that does very thematically focused programs. So our students there are studying neuroscience, or they're studying education or business, or a whole host of different opportunities with really thoughtfully designed curricular and co-curricular programming that helps students advance both academically, personally, and often, explore different different perspectives. So again, hundreds of different choices, which maybe that can be tricky unto itself. So if your student comes to you and says, you know what, I want to use these breaks for study abroad, I don't even know where to begin. Please come send them our way. We have peer students, we have professional advisors available online, in person, to really help sort through and help your student find the program that might best meet their academic and personal goals. Couple logistics just to cover. William and Mary faculty-led programs are William and Mary courses and grades. And that means, for example, if your student is a transfer student and a junior and very much thinking about, oh, how many residential credits do I need? Those are William and Mary courses. And the third-party programs come back as transfer credit. Again, call 300, eligible for all of them. Some programs have some specialized prerequisites, but in general, it's being in good academic and conduct standing and not being on probation at time of study abroad. The deadlines can vary a little bit. So you see December is a big deadline for next summer already. But in other cases, for winter, for example, it's often the semester before, but there are always exceptions. So just please send your students to our website or check it out yourself there. In terms of funding, because we know that, you're coming to college and thinking fall and spring, um, and that, an extra winter break or a summer might be an additional cost. And so that's one of the reasons why we put a significant portion of scholarships towards these short-term break programs. This year, it's well over 500,000 for winter and for summer 2024-25 in scholarships. That number has been increasing in recent years, and we're very grateful for that. And we really work with students in financial aid if there is something in the summer or just other external resources to help your students. So there are merit scholarships, some very generous ones, but most of the funds also are for students who can demonstrate that this is an extra expense and that there's financial needs. So we really encourage students to come see us, talk with our advisors, explore those options, because so many of our students do get very significant funding for study abroad. In terms of other financials, again, just if your student comes to you and you're trying to figure this all out, William and Mary faculty-led programs are a kind of bundled fee that includes the kind of tuition costs, excursion housing, partial board. With non-William and Mary programs, it involves working with the organization that's hosting the partner. There's this billing from William and Mary for this part of it, but we do work with them. And again, financial aid consortium agreements or others would include that. But just so you know, that kind of billing looks a little different depending on the kind of program. And of course, health and safety, though I have it later in my presentation, it is really first and foremost top of mind for us always and has been. There's extensive protocols, pre-departure orientations for your students, training for our faculty who head overseas. The International Travel and Security Manager and I and lots of others are on call 24/7. And we have insurance that's required for all students that does include medical and evacuation. There are policies in place. We work really closely with State Department and others, and I'm always happy to talk more about questions on security. And so those were some of the things about study abroad. I also just briefly, and I recognize we're short on time, but briefly want to touch on that through the Reves Center and the Global Education Office, we also work closely in the space of international internships and fellowships. And these are a couple examples. The Freeman Intern Fellowship in East Asia, we work to place about 20 students a year in different countries and different organizations. More information is on our website. And then we also work with a nonprofit organization in La Plata, Argentina, just close to Buenos Aires, on a human rights summer and internship fellowship. Both of these are during the summer for 6 weeks. And there's funding through Freeman directly. And, for the human rights, we've been really grateful for Fuse funding, which is an opportunity for students to apply for additional funding for summer break internships. I do want to point out the deadline for these programs are November 20th. So they are coming up pretty quickly. There have been numerous info sessions, and there's lots more information on the website that's here. And then I will say, just to this last point, in terms of other internship opportunities, because sometimes students will say, oh, I feel like I want to study abroad, but I'd also love an internship. There are quite a few study abroad programs that offer 4 credit internships overseas. So we have usually a regular cohort of students who are both studying as well as doing some internships in the course of the summer. Those usually take up the whole summer because you're putting a lot into that. But that can also be something that if your student feels like they're trying to do an international internship somewhere, they want to have support. And this way they could also get Call 300. So definitely something to take a look at. All of this is on our website as well. In terms of next steps, I've mentioned the website a few times. Please take a look. Please direct your students there. Students and you are always welcome to stop by. I had mentioned that there are some peer advisors, students who are trained, who've studied abroad and who are trained to talk about study abroad. They're available Monday through Fridays from 11 to 5. Students can just walk in, talk with a peer, or there are online workshops on how study abroad works. There are lots of info sessions. They can sign up online for in-person, online, or phone advising appointments. And so really we look forward to seeing your students and working with you and your students throughout this journey. So thanks for the opportunity to talk a little bit. I appreciate it. I'm open to any questions now or, of course, at any time later. So thanks.
All right. I think I was frozen there for a second, but I think I'm back. So thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Jada. Wonderful presentations, very informative. So families, if you have any questions, now is the time to submit those to our Q&A feature here in Zoom. I'll go ahead and get started as families work on submitting their questions. I think one thing that stuck out to me was, and one of the reasons we wanted to have this conversation was there are so many different timelines for students to consider as they're thinking about how they're going to spend their break, whether that's Thanksgiving break, winter break, spring break, next summer, the next summer deadline's already creeping up on us. So I'm just curious from each of your perspectives, when should students sit down and start mapping out how they want to spend their breaks while they're at William and Mary? What does that timeline look like from each of your perspectives?
I can get that conversation going. So, for branch out alternative breaks, because we offer education resources and making sure that our students are educated on the social justice issue and the community that they're going into, they commit to attending pre-trip meetings for their break. And so, because of that, we have a deadline of about 4 to 5 weeks before each break period for when students apply to breaks. So, for example, for this fall break that was in mid-October, the deadline for that break was due about a month earlier in mid-September.
Very helpful. And I know we have been including alternative break information as well as study abroad information and always career information and family newsletters. So families, make sure you're keeping an eye on those because we do share those deadlines once we know them in either the dates and deadlines section of your newsletter and also anything that our campus partners do share with us. So good timeline. Good thing to know is that 4 to 5 weeks before on that alternative break timeline. But Kathleen, Sylvia, any other thoughts there?
So the one thing that I will add is that we love frequent flyers and we love when students come early and often. And, I'll hear parents say, oh, my student doesn't need to visit the office until they're a junior when they're starting to look for, their internship or whatever it might be. That's really a false narrative these days. And we really do encourage first year students to come in and sit down with an advisor and just talk about what the path might be or what the plan could be. I think you heard Sylvia mention the partnership that we have. We also have a wonderful partnership with the Office of Civic and Community Engagement and share resources. So Sylvia mentioned Fuse, which is funding for unfunded or underfunded student experiences. Students have up to $5,000 to participate in a program. It covers their housing, their food, and then any incidentals. It doesn't make up for lost wages, but it does allow them to have that opportunity. And I think the other point that I want to make that Sylvia mentioned, if your student is thinking about an internship abroad, having it embedded in study abroad is really just such an easy lift because you don't have to worry about work visas or any of those things. It's just baked into the program. So I would say, I think 4 weeks in advance of something, but paying attention to deadlines is so important. we are sharing in this Sunday's Career Conversation newsletter hiring timelines, and some accounting firms are actually they interviewed in the fall for internships that won't start until summer of 2026. So it's interesting, and and that's not all accounting firms. That's some accounting firms, the major big four. So this idea of just thinking about how do you plan with your student. Again, I'm the mother of three children, and two who were just planners till the cows came home, and our youngest was like, yeah, I think I might want to do this. And then, it's like, well, what have you learned about it? It's like, I'll go check it out. And then they were a little late, or they were just like, they missed the deadline. So, everybody comes to it differently. But again, I think everything that's been shared tonight, and the Global Scholars Program through the Mason School of Business, the program that Sylvia spoke about, where students can go to Dublin. Again, the one thing that I love about William and Mary is, we talk about the ampersand. So you can be, an English major and participate in the Dublin program and get a business minor. So again, just thinking about what the possibilities are. And, the other thing I will share, and I know this is more than what you asked for, Heather, but students change their minds. And the more opportunities they have, it's like they're going to say, oh, this is my major. And then they have this amazing experience. It's like, oh, or I met an amazing professor, and now I'm going to switch to that major. Be okay with that as much as you can, at least on the outside, be okay with that. And on the inside, or, talk privately to your partner, your spouse, and just talk about like, okay, what does this mean? And just be prepared. They may change their mind like in 2 weeks. So it's just normal. I will say that's normal. So I'll pass it over to Sylvia.
Great advice, Kathleen, because I think one of the beautiful things about William and Mary is that we have so many opportunities that students don't really discover until they're here and they're connecting with other students and they're building that community, and they hear about, their RA who had this wonderful experience doing XYZ, and that wasn't even on their radar because they didn't know it was possible. So I think families being open to what that exploration looks like. You can sit down and you can map out the 4 years, and you're going to do your internship here, and you're going to study abroad here. But then that's probably all going to change, which is okay. That's part of the exploration process, which we're big fans of around here.
Yeah, I echo so many of those words as well. For study abroad, as I mentioned, all the faculty-led programs, just because those are short in-country experiences, right? In this winter, we have about 2.5, 3 weeks. In the summer, it's anywhere from 3 to 8 weeks in country. So we have a pre-course for that. And so that, between visas or other things does mean that our deadlines tend to be a little bit earlier. So again, for the semester, the rule of thumb is usually it's a semester before, with the exception of Oxford, if you've heard me speak in other ways. But for these breaks, again, it's often like, the end of December for us for summer, but also, in the summer is a great time to finalize some things to apply for the winter programs, because those deadlines are usually in September. But I would say, just like the Career Center, we love working with students from the get-go. We work with thousands of students every semester out there and every year, and as they are considering, or while they're abroad, or while they're coming back. And so really I never want someone to feel like, oh, it's too early to come. We engage with students before they, in some cases, even come to William and Mary, because this is an important part of the decision process. Having said that, at the same time, often some things are possible, even if students haven't been planning all along. And so again, please don't, like, if your student says, I think I missed the William and Mary summer deadline, there are third-party programs. There may still be other options that we can work with. And the sooner we can engage with your student and the more we can explore what options are still possibilities as well. And so, we'd love seeing people early, but we really want to work with you as much as possible, recognizing that international travel just has numerous additional dimensions to consider and some extra planning that takes a little bit longer to get everything ready and to have your students be prepared through orientations or other sessions.
Understandable. Sylvia, on the timeline, if a student applies for a faculty-led summer abroad program, when will they learn if they are accepted, typically?
Yeah, so for in December, for this December deadline, decisions will come out right around the time of the end of the semester, barring some kind of crazy, I don't know, snowstorm or something. And then scholarships, the deadline for scholarships is at the same time. We really encourage students to apply for those. Again, they're merit and lots of need-based scholarships. Students will also get that either right at this, like that same time, or often that information comes in early January or so. And students do not ever have to make a commitment to a program without first understanding the full financial picture, both scholarships from us as well as for financial aid. So if that's a concern and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I'm locking myself into with an application, the final commitment does not come for summer programs until March, at which point everyone has kind of a full picture of what we're looking at.
Wonderful. Kathleen, where is the best place for students to search for summer internships?
So I mentioned Tribe Careers earlier, and that is, there's hundreds of internships posted in Tribe Careers. And if you go to our website, which I was on one of the other slides, we have a whole section around applied learning, and that's a good place. The Office of Civic and Community Engagement also hosts internship opportunities. So we try and curate as much as we can within Tribe Careers, but when we're meeting with students, we also say, if you're studying abroad and you're looking for an internship abroad, go see Sylvia. If you're thinking about, other internships that are not in the, nonprofit sector, Tribe Careers and Civic and Community. So I think that's the best one, but there are plenty of websites out there. We do encourage students when they find an internship, if they haven't worked through our office, that we sit down with them to make sure that it is legitimate and that they are going to have a wonderful experience. And then we do have something called the Internship and Applied Learning Showcase that we run in the fall and the spring. So for all students who have participated in an internship, it's a huge fun thing with Ben and Jerry's ice cream and all the fun stuff that they love. And then it's that knowledge sharing. So students can walk around and see, it's like, oh, you did an internship at, the Wildlife Foundation, or you did an internship at the World Bank. I mean, it's just a whole host of opportunities that students are doing. And then it's one way for us to even learn more and for other students to learn from each other.
Wonderful. I know every industry is different and timelines for internships are all over the place, but typically,
Yeah.
when do employers start looking for students for summer internships?
Yes, I think your comment that, employers and organizations look at different times. So we run two major events, one in the fall and one in the spring. And we have our career and internship fair in September. The other thing, parents, you need to know is every Friday in September, we have a major career event, a recruiting event. So that's happening then. And then in the spring, we'll kind of do a bit of a rinse and repeat in February. So our spring career and internship fair will be in February. So most for-profit organizations are looking to recruit their interns actually in the fall for that either the upcoming summer or the next summer out. And then the nonprofits, governments, they're usually looking in the spring. If you're looking at creative careers, they're generally in the spring as well. But we tell students to start looking in December, even for those spring opportunities.
I'm just looking at something really quick. We, in February, spoiler alert to all families, in February, we'll be doing a internships focused webinar. So
Yeah.
it'll be a good opportunity to discuss if students haven't secured that internship yet, what resources are available. So
Yeah,
be on the lookout for that one. That one is
that's
coming.
great.
Yeah. One question I do have is I think we've talked a lot about really productive ways that students can balance or make use of their break. I'm curious your perspective on how families can help students if students are saying, I really just want to take a break this break. I don't know if I want to be productive. How can families support students in finding some sort of balance between maybe not doing anything and also making a productive use of that time that they have away from campus.
I was going to say, Jada, I don't know if you want to chime in here or if you've got some thoughts on that. I have lots of thoughts on that.
Sure. I think that being a William and Mary student myself, we definitely do value our breaks and that downtime that we have, and it's very, very hard to just give away that time. But I think just emphasizing to students like how much value you can put into that break and really emphasizing that there really isn't any other chance during the school year to be as productive as you can be during a school break. Um, all William and Mary students, we are all very committed and very involved in lots of things. And so our breaks are our chances to really buckle down and do something that we maybe haven't tried before, or that we were maybe looking into but just hadn't had the chance yet. And so maybe connecting with your students in that way and just making sure that they use this break as an opportunity to explore something that they may not already be involved in.
Yeah, I'll just riff off of that a little bit. If your student just needs a break, then and they know they need a break, and I would say, encourage them to. I think back to what Jada was saying, like read a book, like try, I don't know, knitting or something that they haven't tried before. Just it's so healthy for the brain to do something different, and if they're talking to someone and they say, well, what'd you do for your break? It's like, oh, I read a book, or I learned how to knit, or, whatever the thing is that they want. And I mean, being able to talk in a setting where they can share their experiences and that they tried something new, right? William and Mary students are curious. Being curious outside of the academic realm really creates that whole person. And I think that's what hiring organizations are looking for. So not just, kind of one dimensional. So I think it's a great idea. And, to connect with friends and just, have that opportunity to do something that's not is, I think, very beneficial. So I like that question, Heather.
Would echo all those words. I definitely agree. And I think the downtime is so important. And that, to me, also opportunities for reflection. I think we're so busy during the semester and, being able to learning new things or just exploring, following curiosity. And I think a chance sometimes is also to dream. Like we do quite a bit of devising in the summer or in that January time frame. If they're like interested in study abroad, but they're not ready to like at that moment, it's a great time when it's low pressure to get that passport application in, or to just, I don't know, just take that time when there isn't a deadline looming to decide like, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? And hopefully through that, right, spark some curiosity and what all that might be too. So definitely agree and really value data, your perspective too as a student. So.
Yeah, wonderful perspectives. I think it's important families to just recognize that maybe when they come home for break, maybe they will just want to do nothing and watch some TV and maybe recover a little bit from a long semester, but helping them process through, what do you want to do this summer? What do you want to do next winter break? That's even a productive, they may not deem it as productive, but that's still a very productive way to spend their time and to think about what comes next. So that's all the time that we have. I just want to say big thank you, Kathleen, Jada, and Sylvia, for sharing information about each of your respective areas and answering our questions. I'll get this recording up in the next few days so that families can watch anytime. But thanks again for spending some time with us this evening. Thank you, families, for joining us, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody.